Hi, Dad. Welcome back to another episode of Dave and Andy's Honest About Life. How are you?
I'm doing well, Andy. How was your Easter?
It was nice. It was really nice. It was quiet. Being out here in Virginia, we're away from the family, so it's not like days uh, days past, years past, where we get together as a family and celebrate and have a big meal and all that. It's
Yeah,
not
I
like
kind of
that.
miss those times. We've kind of gotten scattered, so I miss those times when we had big groups together.
Yeah, yeah. How was your Easter?
It was very quiet. It was just the three of us, Lisa's youngest, Easton, Lisa, and I. So it was just the three of us. We went to one of our favorite places is the Lake Elmo Inn, and they had a Easter brunch that went until we got there at 4, and still they were serving until 6, and they started at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it was a long day for them.
That's a nice plug for the Lake Elmo Inn.
It's a very nice restaurant. I love the place, and it's a staple around here where I live. It's just a staple.
Nice, nice. It is different these days, isn't it? I wonder if the recent pandemic with COVID had has changed the way that we think about getting together. It's changed, big family gatherings into smaller groups, and it's just remarkable what we have been through these last handful of years.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot more people getting together with Zoom groups now rather than traveling. They do a Zoom for a half an hour with their family members, and it's kind of fun. You still get to see and get to share what their lives have been like for the last year, but it's just not the same as obviously of being in person.
That's right. Speaking of traveling, I had my good friend Matt from Wisconsin here visiting this past week. Had a great week together, and one of the things that we wanted to do, that he wanted to do, and I must admit I did as well, is take a train from here, Charlottesville, to Washington D.C. So we jumped on a train. Neither he nor I had ever been on a train before. So
Wow,
we'd been on light rail and subways, metros, et cetera, but never on a train. So it's a 2 hour trip from Charlottesville to Washington, D.C. So we got in the morning, we got up and jumped on the train. We were there before lunchtime, and then had 6 or so hours to walk around the mall and see some of the monuments and visit some of the museums. And then we jumped back on a train and came back that evening. So it was really cool.
that is fun. Yeah, I've only been on a train once, I believe, in my life, and that was a trip from Minnesota all the way out to New York, and then down the East Coast, which was a blast. It is a very interesting way to travel the country.
It is. It is. I was pleasantly surprised at how comfortable it was. The seats are cushy and big and lots of
Yeah,
leg. So yeah, it's
yep.
making this sound like an advertisement for Amtrak.
Well, we can do that.
Yeah, right, for sure. So speaking of it, because we're on the topic of traveling and that sort of thing, you know, where would you? I've asked you this in the past, where you'd like to go, but can you think of a memorable trip that you really enjoyed recently?
Um, yeah, let me think about that for a second. Well, I guess my favorite recently has been Nashville. I had never been there before. I've been through there before, but never stopped and stayed there for a couple of days. And it was very pleasurable. I mean, there's so much going on, and if you like music, you love Nashville. It's all about music, and it's just yeah, it was an adult playground kind of. Yeah, so
Right.
I enjoyed that a lot.
What,
You see a lot of different people, and people watching is fun. I love that when I go, places like Las Vegas. I love the people watch, or New Orleans. People watching can be fun in those interesting places in our country.
what is the main drag that goes through Nashville? Is it Broadway or what do they call that?
I believe it's Broadway. I believe it is. That's a good question. I was right there. I was there. I can't. I think we. Yeah, I think it was Broadway. I might
Yeah.
be wrong.
And so I just remember the last time, well, it wasn't the last time I was there. One of the first times I was there, I think I made the mistake of commenting on how talented the violin players are. And I think I call them violins, but they're actually
The
called
fiddles.
fiddles.
Yep, yep. There are fiddlers out there,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're very talented. You're right.
It's unbelievable. It really is how talented. And every one of those restaurants on every corner has some of the best music you'll ever hear live, and there's a lot of it. So you think about other locations, and maybe you get lucky and have one location with decent music, but they have every spot with decent music. It's remarkable.
Yeah, no, that is true. They're just have an overabundance of talent, and you wonder if these people get noticed by, some national groups that would love to have a talented drummer or a talented singer. It's amazing the talent that, and you get a lot of it for free. I mean, you're just walking down Main Street or Broadway, whichever it was, and you get to listen to all that for free.
It is incredible. It is, and it's probably a lot like New Orleans too. Nolans, I suppose, is the
Nolans.
correct thing.
And that's the Beale, right? Was it 10 feet
Yeah,
off the Beale? That's in New
right.
Orleans, isn't it?
I think so. I
Or
think so.
is that in, I don't know.
It could
I
be.
get
It could
lost.
be even somewhere in
Memphis.
Tennessee or
I think it might be Memphis. I don't know. 10
Memphis.
feet off the Beale. I just remember that.
Oh, that makes sense. Do you think they're going to build a train from Minneapolis to Chicago? Speaking of trains, do you think they're going to do that high-speed rail? Is there any more talk about that?
That's a good question. I haven't heard recently a lot of talk about it because I don't know that there's enough demand for that. When you can catch a flight for $45 from, the Twin Cities to Chicago, um, I don't know. I don't know if a train makes sense.
I think, yeah, no, that is interesting. Okay, so let's end this session and we'll jump on the next one shortly. But thank you, Dad, as always. Wonderful to see you.
Yeah, it's always fun. Always fun, Andy.
Love you, Dad.
Love you.